When I started to experience trouble with my sight, I was in my 20s, I was still in graduate school. It was landmark issues. You know, you think, how can you miss a building? Well, you can when you start to lose your sight. I went to an eye doctor and he said, you know, you have tremendous eye strain and you should give your eyes a rest. I was about 34, 35 when I realized there was something seriously wrong with my eyes. I couldn't see bus numbers, couldn't make out details across the street, things you take for granted. I was scared to death. Eventually, I received the diagnosis of retinitis pigmentosus. I lived the last 4 decades as a blind person, with the usual ups and downs, but pretty successfully. I worked. I had a wonderful support system, wonderful, wonderful friends. Then one day, I noticed something else started to happen. If I sat down, I was asleep before my butt hit the chair. I couldn't remember things, especially numbers. I decided to tell my primary care physician about it, and she listened to me and sent me off to have an MRI. And about 2 days after my MRI, she called me. She said, you need to make an appointment with a neurosurgeon. She said, it looks like you have a tumor. I always used to say to myself, I can deal with being blind, but I don't think I can deal with anything else. And I found that somewhere I could deal with something else, because indeed I did have a tumor.
Patricia's MRI revealed that she had a large tumor at the bases of the skull that was impinging on her optic chiasm, which is where the two optic nerves come together. It looked suspicious for a pituitary adenoma.
It was so hard for me to comprehend because I didn't have any of the classic symptoms that Dr. Chandler talked with me about. Most people notice that they have this kind of tumor if they lose their sight. Well, I'd already lost my sight. I didn't feel sick, but I was faced with brain surgery, and it was pretty scary.
I told her that this was probably the source of her blindness and that we may have an option to bring back some of her vision. And Pat said, well, while I've already adjusted to being blind and I have no regrets, if I could see light just one more time, it would be worth it to me. And that's why we did the surgery.
You cannot believe that you can have such a serious diagnosis and that it can be treated. But here I was, I'm still alive 2 years later. And by removing the tumor, I can see.
It always amazes me the courage, the resilience that so many of my patients, in particular Patricia, have. And to hear that we somehow improved the quality of her life, made her life better, is heartwarming and gratifying. It's why I do what I do.
To see Patricia's success, to see Patricia living well, now having seen some light, that's what we want to achieve at the Malnati Brain Tumor Institute. This is a team approach, a relentless approach. We try really to push the envelope, have tomorrow's treatments available today, come up with more innovative approaches for every single patient.
To be able to see anything, to enjoy the sun, is wonderful. To say the sky is gray, or look how dark it is outside, those are wonderful gifts. And I am eternally grateful to Dr. Chandler and to the Malnati Brain Tumor Institute. I am extremely grateful.